There are a lot of exciting games in the works at the moment, but few are as ambitious as Chris Roberts' Star Citizen, which has raised almost $90 million towards its development so far. This here is my hangar. On the left, we've got my Constellation Andromeda, a transport ship, and then over to our right, my 325A fighter jet, looking like some kind of futuristic Ferrari. Today, I want to take a quick look around the game, show you both the ships that I've got lying around now, and then talking a bit more about where this game is trying to go, where it's at right now, and what it could be in the future. The game is still in an alpha state, so you're probably going to see a few little bugs as we're going through, but this Constellation Andromeda is currently one of the biggest ships that exists in the game, although they're working on some which are more than 100 times its size, capital ships, so I can't wait to see them. The Andromeda can fit a crew of 5 people, and if you look around the interior, you can see it's all been done to a pretty high level of detail. Moving a bit further down the ship here, you can see we've got the cargo hold, which is where you're going to store all that stuff you're carrying through the galaxy. Because in the full game for Star Citizen, it's aiming to be completely open world, kind of make your own path title, where you can spend your entire time just shipping freight, making a profit, or alternatively, you could be the guy ambushing these giant ships in a fighter jet like you see over there. But all I can tell you is I'm a sucker for any kind of large spacecraft, and that is definitely a pretty cool ship to behold. But we're going to head over now. We're going to check out the 325A fighter jet, which is a bit more of a sleek, mean-looking ship, and yeah, kind of really does remind me of a Ferrari. It's one of the more luxury fighters, as you're probably about to see. It kind of does look like the bit of the Rolls-Royce of fighter jets. But if there's one thing that Star Citizen's done so far, it's create some of the most beautiful, sexy-looking ships out there at the moment. You can exit on either side, and just everything about the way they've made these ships, from the sounds to the animations, it feels so smooth. But we're going to jump in here, we're going to hop in the pilot seat, and we're going to head off to the Dying Star to fight the Vandal Swarm. Alright, so this is the combat module where you can currently practice dogfighting in space, and it's actually unbelievably complicated. When I used to watch people doing it, it seemed really simple, and then I tried it, and it probably took me 3 or 4 hours of straight practice to kind of learn to get this good, and even then, I still really suck. You have to lead the targets, you've got to aim ahead of them and kind of predict where they're going to be when the lasers arrive, or if you're like me and you just want to take the cheap way out, you can lock on missiles like I might do here, which is what I've found to be the simpler way of taking out enemies, and seems to work pretty damn well most of the time. But I think the number one thing I've realized just when I'm flying around in this game is how beautiful everything is. From the interior of the ships to the environment that you're going through, it's all just stunning stuff. But the thing that really excites me about Star Citizen, more than the combat, more than how beautiful everything is the overall idea behind this game, where they're taking it and what they're trying to achieve. So, for those of you who haven't heard of Star Citizen before, its end goal is to create a persistent open universe, essentially an MMO experience like World of Warcraft, except in space. The idea here is that you can forge your own path. You can become a trader and use the Constellation ship I showed you earlier, you could buy a mining ship and farm resources, or you could form a group of bandits with your friends and ambush trading ships as they're flying through the galaxy. So, in short, Star Citizen wants to be a massive multiplayer, online, open world game featuring both space and first-person combat, hundreds of planets and star systems, all revolving around a fully integrated economy system. Yeah, it is pretty damn ambitious. The question is, can they pull it off? And that's the question that a lot of people have been asking. Right now, the developers have shown a whole bunch of different parts of the game. We've got the hangar system you saw at the start, where you keep all your ships, the combat module, where we were fighting earlier, a planet-side area where you can walk around a city with other players. Right now, you can't really do anything in the city, you can just kind of observe and look around. It is a pretty beautiful environment, there's just not much interactivity. And then they've also showcased a bunch of unreleased features, including a first-person combat system, and having multiple crew in a single spaceship, kind of all piloting one of the biggest ships together, with 2 or 3 people flying, other people manning the guns, and it does look really cool. Individually, all these different parts are incredibly impressive, and I think you'll agree when you saw the hangar system and the combat module, it looks like they've really put a huge amount of attention to detail in everything from the internals of the ship's HUD to the way the combat works. It all runs extremely well. But to complete the full MMO experience, they're going to need to bind all these different parts together to create a complete game. Now, Star Citizen's come under a lot of criticism from a lot of different journalists who have said that the goals they've really set and what they're trying to achieve just isn't possible, and that there are a lot of doubts at the moment whether they can do it. Now, I used to play a game when I was a lot younger called Star Wars Galaxies. It was a really old MMO, and it was, for a time, extremely popular. The developers ended up killing it by putting in a really stupid combat update, but that's a whole other story. But the fact is, that game had a huge, unbelievably large universe where planets were, a lot of the time, almost the size of real planets. It had combat space, it had a really interesting and in-depth economy system, so the level of complexity they're going for here really has been done before. The difference is, from what I've seen from Star Citizen, the level of detail they're putting into all the different elements is that they're trying to achieve it to a much, much higher level of polish. And the question is, can they do it? My personal thoughts on it? Well, $90 million is a lot of money to work with, especially considering they're going to make even more on the game's release. The team behind it has got a pretty great reputation, and although they've missed a few of their predicted deadlines by over a year, I really think they've got both the funds and the drive to make it one of the most exciting space sims to date. I definitely wouldn't recommend going and spending your life savings to buy these extremely expensive ships quite yet, but Star Citizen is definitely a game to keep your eyes on.